saints and the Most High. All praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah. We the saints of the Most High. All praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah.
All praise to the Most High. See these saints, we don't move like most guys. The light here so I can step with closed eyes and still see the enemy coming from both sides. Come to the saints and get sanctified. You ain't holy if you ain't got a saint to ride. I'm a saint for death and a saint for life. So it was probably the same in my ancient life. I was a man of sin that paid the price and still owe. So I'm trying.
Yeah, the goal became them. The sons of Zion turned to dust in the street. But prophecy said hate them joy going. Watch the flip, tables turning trees. How the gold turned in with a shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see true, rewind it. Eat them laughing, but the clock keeps slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fall. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold blue. Gold turned dim, but we pure in the core. Blood on the soil, they don't open that door. Zion cry out from the block to the shore. With the change to corporate war. We was kings, not slaves in chains. Built a city, now they profit our pain. Stones of the sanctuary poured in the street. Crown got cracked, but the spirit don't sleep. Famine hit hard, moms cry tears. Babes in the dust, no bread, no years. Eat them laugh loud, think judgment delayed. But the wrath coming fast, it's already in play, yeah. How the gold turned down when it's shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see truth, rewind it. Eat them laughing, but the clock ticks slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fall. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold. Eat them real Jason, but that joy sure live. Oh, but I wrote it, that's what it is. Payback double for the dirt they did. Prophets outside, we don't play no kid. Bred by the sword, still living on edge. Skin blacked out from the feminine dread. Wilderness heat got us counting our steps, but we still here. Never lost, never dead, we the sons here. Yeah, the fine gold testify, made pure. Tribulation, invest the streets filled with saints. Whole crew resurrected, judgment gon' drop, that's divine correction. How the gold turned in, we the ones they forgot. But the scroll still reads, so the story don't ride. Eat them laughing now, but the sky gon' talk. When the trumpet sound loud, every knee gon' drop. Hey, how the gold turned in with it shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see true, rewinding. Eat them laughing, but the clock ticks slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fall. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold fruit. Precious sons of Zion, refine that loss. Babylon rejoice now, but the ending comes. Edoms laugh for faith when the trumpets call. Gold turned in, but we still stand tall.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. The water for being here. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father Yahweh. Once again, all praises be to the Father Yahweh and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. The water for being here. All of the Akim, the Akwat Yum. Please do the ministry a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can be notified when we go live. Hit the thumbs up. And as always, if you believe that this message is edifying, please share it with someone. As you can see today, we'll be talking about the Sabbath day service. That is what we will be going into today, the Sabbath day. So as always, we're going to dive right into the scriptures. Once again, the water for everybody being here. Those that are here and will join in at a later time. Let me share my screen. Turn here with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Chapter 7. And I'm going to jump all the way down to about verse 20. 3, 4, 24. Seven and 23, 24 on down. He says in 23, I've always tried my best to let wisdom guide my thoughts and actions. I said to myself, I am determined to be wise, but it didn't work. Have you ever said this to yourself? That you're determined to be wise? You're determined to walk with the Most High? You're determined to follow his law, statute, and commandments? For those who don't know who wrote this, this is Solomon, one of the wisest men ever to live. And he said it didn't work. It didn't work. Verse 24, wisdom is always distant and difficult to find. Why is wisdom so difficult to find? In this world, they tell us all you have to do is go to a place, this building, this university, Cal State, many other different things, in order to obtain this wisdom, this knowledge of this world. But see, that's not true wisdom, because true wisdom is very hard and difficult to find. You can't go and pay for it. You don't learn it in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. It doesn't even give you a piece of paper to hang on the wall with your name on it, where you can put it in a glass plaque. Wisdom doesn't give you those things that the world gives you. Verse 25. He says, I searched everywhere, determined to find wisdom and to understand the reason for things. I was determined to prove to myself that wickedness is stupid and that foolishness is madness. He sought this out. He said he was determined to do this. He put his mind to it. And he was a very wise man. So much so that nobody else has been as wise as he was on the earth ever again. And he sought these things out. Verse 26, I discovered. So out of all of the things that he searched out, this is what he discovered. A seductive woman is a trap more bitter than death. So all the things that he was searching, one thing that he discovered and that he came up with is that a seductive woman. Now, I am reading this in a New Living Translation, but that's just a click of a button, because the King James and the New King James, it says, and I find more bitter than death, the woman. Whose heart is snares and nets. Now, the reason it says this seductive woman, because a woman of the Most High that's walking with the Most High and the only begotten Son, she wouldn't be snares and she wouldn't be traps. But a seductive woman, a woman of the world, a woman of Satan, she would be those things for a brother. So that's why it renders it like this in the New Living Translation, when he says, I discovered that a seductive woman is a trap more bitter than death. Then it goes on to tell you her passion is a snare, and her soft hands are chains. So all those things that entice or feel good to a brother or to a man, if it's a seductive woman, he's letting you know it's a snare. And those very hands that you say that feel so soft when you touch them, they're like chains. Those who are pleasing to the Most High will escape her. So if you do the things that the Most High commanded you to do from the very word that he has given us, and you please him, it says that you will escape this type of particular woman. Now, for those who have an ear to hear, please hear, because you know what I'm talking about. This woman that sits on this beast. And she has something on her head for those who read the book of Revelation. You have something you want to say?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's like being tempted, and there's a scripture that says that he will lead you out of all temptation.
By being tempted, he will give you a way out of temptation. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. Yeah. And that's what this seductive woman in a physical form, but also in a parable form, you know, he's speaking to you in twofold, because yes, you're going to see a physical woman out in the world that is seductive. But we know that the world in itself that has been given over to the hands of the wicked is seductive to a man of the Most High, because he's trying to pull you off of the path from the way of the Most High. And he's trying to do it with the things of the world to seduce you. This is why he came when he came to our brother, our friend, the only begotten son in Matthew chapter 4. He offered him all of these different things of what? The world. Only if you bow down to me. These are snares. These are traps. These are chains. That's why he calls it in the New Testament, especially in the book of Romans and Paul, he said these are what? You're bound. But you can be free by following the word of the Most High and his only begotten son, Hamashiach Yahushua. Other than that, you will be bound to what? Chains. Remember what he said, whoever commits sin is a slave to sin. And if you're a slave to sin, then you're a slave to who? Satan, the devil, Hasatan, because he is the deceiver. The only way you can escape it is, he said, those who are pleasing to the Most High will escape her, but sinners will be caught in her snare. Letting you know, if you walk with the Most High, if you follow his instructions that he has given us, then you will escape that seductive woman, those snares, those traps, those chains. But if you don't, and you sin, then you will be caught in her snare and in her trap. Verse 27. This is my conclusion. This is not my conclusion. This is what Solomon is saying. Says the teacher, I discovered this after looking at the matter from every possible angle. He broke it down in every way that he could, every angle that he could, as the wisest man that ever lived. Wisdom that was poured upon him from the Most High. 28. Though I have searched repeatedly, I have not found what I was looking for. He didn't search one time. 2 times, 3 times. He said repeatedly. And he still haven't found what he was looking for. What I'm trying to show you, brothers and sisters, is that a lot of times people fall off and they stop believing in the Most High. They stop believing in the only begotten Son because what they were looking for, they can't find. That piece to the puzzle, that feeling that they're looking for, they don't get it. But he said this, only one out of 1,000 men is victorious, but not one woman. So out of 1,000 men that you see, he said only one gets the crown. Out of 1,000 women, he said he hadn't found one. Not one. The reason I bring this out, brothers and sisters, is because we see a lot of people in congregations, in churches, in camps. And sometimes people think because that congregation is flourishing, or that camp is flourishing, or that church is flourishing, we think that that's where the truth is. That's where the truth lies because it's being builded up through the eye where you can see. But realize what Solomon is saying here, 1,000 men. And there may be one out of that 1,000. And out of our sisters, he said he hadn't found any. Not one woman. What is this telling us? That we need to look deeper inside of ourselves to see how genuine we really are. Because when it comes down to it, all we doing is really deceiving ourselves. You can say whatever you want to say about yourself and how you feel about yourself, but really you're only deceiving yourself. Many times it tells us in the Bible about this narrow path, how it's so narrow, especially in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 7, that the path is so narrow that only one man at a time can go through the path. That's how narrow it is. It's not even wide enough for multiple people to walk through at the same time. One man can only go one at a time. But yet we see so many people proclaiming that they are followers of the Most High and they're followers of Hamashiach Yahushua. And always saying that they can't wait to get to the kingdom. Verse 29, just some food for thought for us as believers that we should think about. 29. But I did find this, he says, that the Most High created people to be what? He created us to be upright, righteous. Solomon says, but they have each turned to follow their own downward path. We have followed our own imagination. What we thought, what we wanted, what our path should be. It says the same thing in the King James Version, just in a different manner. 29 in the King James Version. Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High have made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. We were created and made to be upright and righteous. But we know from Job 9:24 that the world was given into the hands of the wicked, and the whole earth is out of course. Watch this. Let me just jump up to verse 1 real quick, and then we'll move on and get into the lesson. But verse 1 in the same book, it says, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So the day of death is better than your actual birth. But everybody celebrates the child coming in to this world, and then they mourn when you go out of this world. This is the wisest man speaking to us. He's telling us it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all man, and the living will lay it to his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter. Sadness, things that you go through, hardship is better than laughter. For by sadness of the face, the heart is made bitter, or salakia, better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of a fool is in the house of myrrh. Why is the wise man's heart in the house of mourning? He's thinking about death. He's thinking about what is to come. He's not worried about having a good time. That's what mirth is, for those who don't know. You can see it right here in the comparative text. A wise person thinks a lot about what? Death. People tell you don't think about death in this world. Oh, don't think about it. Don't worry about it. No, you should be thinking about it daily. You should. But if you don't want to, that's on you. But it's going to come and get you one day. And you would rather be prepared than not prepared. It says, while a fool thinks only about what? Having a good time. And that's all I used to think about. Sometimes I still think about it. Wanting to have a good time. But that was what was always on my mind years ago. Just having a good time. I had no idea that that's what a fool thinks about. That's what the Bible calls us, a fool. You think you having a good time on this earth. The NIV says it like this: the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of a fool or fools is in the house of what? Pleasure. Do we think about these things throughout the day, throughout the year? I'm just trying to give food for thought. But we'll go ahead and dive into the lesson about this Sabbath day service. Should we keep the Sabbath or should we not? What does the Bible truly say about the Sabbath day? What is the meaning? What is the origin? Why? What's the whole thing about it? Let's go into it. Mark chapter 2 is where I'm going to go. Mark 2. Once again, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom for everybody being here that it is here. And those that are not here, we still say Shalom, peace and blessings to you. We're going to go to Mark chapter 2, verse 23. New Testament. Mark 2 and 23. And it reads, and it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day. And his disciples began, as they went through, to pluck the ears of the corn. And the Pharisees said unto him, behold, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? 25. And he said unto them, have you not read what David did? For those who don't know, he's going to explain it a little bit. When he had need and he was hungry, he and they that were with him. So David wasn't even alone. For those who know the story, David went to the priest and he asked, could he have some bread? The priest just asked him. First, he asked him, why are you alone? Why are you by yourself? Because David left the man at the cave. So he asked him, why are you by yourself? Something is not right for you to be by yourself. But this bread that I have, I'm about to throw away because they had to put new bread every Sabbath day. But it still was unlawful for David and those other brethren to eat of that because that was the showbread. But the priest did ask them another question, and he asked them, have you been with any women? Have you laid down with any woman? David said, no, we haven't been with any women. I believe it was in like 3 days. So the priest ended up giving it to him, right? And as you can see right here, he's talking about that where he says he did eat the what? Showbread. Now, was it lawful for David to eat that showbread and his other companions? No. As it's written in the law, that's for the priest only. And this is what Hamashiach is talking about, the anointed begotten son. This is what he's talking about right here. As you can see, he says, which is not lawful to eat, but for who? The priest. And gave also to them which were with him. Not only did David eat it, the brethren that was with David, he gave them bread too. And that was definitely not lawful because they were not priests at this time. Mark 2 and 27. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Now, what does this mean? He's letting us know a lot right here. The Sabbath was made for man, meaning it was brought forth, it was manifest for the man, and not the man for the Sabbath. What does that mean, brothers and sisters? You got something you want to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like that means that it was made for you to rest in and not for you to make plans in.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Like a lot of people say, oh, I can't wait for Saturday because they want to go and do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not made for you for that purpose. It's made for you to be able to rest in the Most High.
Correct.
So it was made, for man.
It was made for man. It was brought forth, manifest, created for man.
To rest.
To rest.
In the Most High.
Right.
Not the other way around and seeming like that's not your day to
think of things that you want to do.
And now you want to just, I want to have fun, or I want to relax, or
maybe be in some pleasure.
Right.
Be in some mirth.
Right.
Right.
So you should. As
I just went over in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7.
Yeah.
Right. Then he says in verse 28, and we're going to get deeper into it. Just bear with me, brothers and sisters, please. In verse 28, now we have an understanding that the Sabbath was made for man. So in verse 28, he says, therefore, the Son of Man, which is Hamashiach, the anointed one, the only begotten Son who laid down his life for us and shed his blood for us, he says that he is the Adon in the Hebrew. In English, you would say master also of the Sabbath. So he's making a proclamation here telling you that he is the Adon over the Sabbath. What does that mean what does it mean when someone is the master over something?
That means that they rule.
That means that they rule, they have supreme authority over either that individual. In the dictionary, it would say something or someone. In this case, it's something. So he's telling us he has supreme rulership over this Sabbath day.
So that means that he rules over that day. So whatever you're doing needs to stop because he's what you're supposed to be resting in.
Correct. And this is why when you look at the word Sabbath in the Hebrew, is really Shabbat. And what it means to do is cease. It means to stop. That's what the word really means. So we see here in the New Testament, Mark 2:28, that he is the master, the Adon of it. Supreme rulership over it, right? Now let's go to a couple more before we bust it wide open.
Sister Dorothy said he's in charge.
Khan, definitely. He's in charge. 100% correct. Now, why is he in charge? Why is not the Most High in charge? We're going to bust it wide open. Just give me 1 second. Now, a lot of people say it was not he didn't bring it back up again in the New Testament, so we don't have to keep the Sabbath day, right? That's what they said. That nobody spoke about it again, right? But here it is, they'll say we have to keep all of the other 10 commandments or 9 commandments. And we know that it's written in here just to show you in Exodus chapter 20, verse 8, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, that word holy has a few different meanings to it. Now, pull up the word, if you can, for me. Pull up the word holistic and see what the definition of that word and that meaning is. Here in Exodus 20, verse 8, it says, remember the Sabbath day. So not only remember it, okay? But then he tells you to what? Keep it holy. The word holy in Hebrew means kodash, which means to be set apart. So this day is set apart from every other day. Mind you, for those who know and have the ear to hear and have the understanding, none of the days of the week were named. It was the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day, and then the seventh day. But on the seventh day, it was actually given a title, which is the Shabbat day, which means to cease. That is the only day that was given a name. The only day. And he says to keep it holy. Why do we need to keep it holy? It goes on in verse 9 and tells us 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, like she just said. But on the 7th day, it is the Shabbat of Yahweh, thy power. In it, thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Verse 11, for in 6 days The Most High made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that in them is. He rested the seventh day. Wherefore, the Most High exalted the seventh day and hallowed it. What he means by hallowed it is he set it apart. So when we go from here, let's go to Exodus 30 real quick. We'll jump from 20 to 31.
Did you know the definition or what?
Yeah, did you what's the definition?
Well, I looked up biblical
Holistic.
definition
Yeah.
or holistic.
Yes.
It says biblical holistic refers to caring for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit while integrating relationships, community, and creation in alignment with Al-Hayam's design.
With his design. So it's not just one particular thing. He wants the whole thing. I remember one day Sister Dorothy put a scripture in there and said, eat the whole roll. Not some of it, not half of it, not just the Old Testament, not just the New Testament, but the whole thing you have to consume. In order to be holy and be set apart, you have to consume all of it, not some of it, not a portion of it. That's what it means to be whole. Hold it though. Just keep it if you can. Exodus 31 and verse 12. Please turn there with me for those who have their Bible open. Exodus 31 verse 12. And it reads, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, truly my Sabbaths, as you can see, it's not just one, it's a plural, ye shall keep it. Why? Why do we need to keep this Sabbath day other than it being holy? He says in verse 13, for it is a sign, I believe a couple weeks ago or the Shabbat, one of the classes I did, the brother Uzziah, he has said that in the comment board, that it's a sign. And as I told him then, that's 100% correct. It is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh, that doeth sanctify you. Now, what does the word sanctify mean? Right? Let's click on it real quick because I don't want to just give my definition. We'll just go to it real quick. H6942. And it says right here in the outline biblical usage, to consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, be hallowed, be holy, be sanctified, be separate, to be set apart. And it's just a lot of other things here, but basically you get the gist of everything. What it's saying is basically to consecrate you, to be set apart, to be dedicated, to regard or treat as sacred and hollow, to keep oneself apart or separate, to cause himself to be hallowed of who? The Most High. So these are the definitions. And it has to do with what? The Shabbat day. It's a sign that he's hallowing you. He's setting you apart. He's consecrating you. And it says right here to but be clean ceremonially, or morally. Purified, sanctified, prepared. So all these things are attributed to the Shabbat day, to the Sabbath day. So it's more than just keeping a day. He's telling you this is how you're going to be what? Sanctified. This is how you're going to be consecrated. This is how you're going to be set apart. This is how you're going to be holy. Why? Because it's a sign. So when you keep the Shabbat, it's a sign between you and the Most High and His only begotten Son that you're sanctifying yourself. You're setting yourself apart of the world. Verse 14, you shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is Kodash, holy unto you. Everyone that defile it, it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, we're talking about on the Shabbat day, on the Sabbath day, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but on the seventh is the Shabbat of rest. Kodash unto Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Now we read this in the Torah. So can another man or can any man come along and change this? Can anybody step up and say, hey, no, you don't need to keep the Shabbat on that day. I'm going to make a day for you to rest in. We're going to get that. Verse 16, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout your generation. For it is, listen, for Salakia, you got to keep it throughout your generations for a what? Perpetual covenant. This is a covenant. I don't care if it's repeated in the New Testament or not. It says it is a perpetual covenant. Now let's click on this word. Let's go here. Because people want to say, well, oh no, it wasn't in the New Testament again. Here it is right here. The H5769. The outline biblical usage. It has a few different things. Long duration, forever and ever. Right here, it says everlasting, evermore, perpetually, old, ancient, world, ancient time, long time, forever, and A, always, continuous, perpetual, everlasting. So you see here that it's letting us know that it's something that will never, ever, ever end. Why? Why does he want us to keep it forever? Because it's a covenant. It's a covenant. Once again, in verse 17, it says, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel. How long? Forever. It's a sign between the Most High, his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Most High made the Shemaiah, and the arataza in the Hebrew. And on the seventh day, he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, and when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of Elohim. Now we're going to come right back here to Exodus 31. I'm going to show you something. And we're going to read this. Keep this in your mind, brothers and sisters out there that scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. Keep this in your mind that it is a sign between you and the only begotten Son and the Father. Remember that. It's a covenant and it's a sign. Remember those 2 things, a covenant and a sign. Now I'm going to show you something and we're going to read it together. And let's see what people in this world, on this earth, have done to the sign and the covenant that's between the Most High and his children. Let me stop sharing this and let me go here. Watch this real quick. I'm sorry. Let me, the sister Dorothy said the Most High gave him power and authority. Hallelujah. Khan. She also says, I'll be so happy when the Most High Yahweh takes back his world and Hamashiach is seated on the throne. Hallelujah. Khan. All praises. All praises. Now, as she just stated that, watch this.
She said people who don't keep the Shabbat need to ask themselves why. How can we want everlasting life and not the everlasting covenant and commandments? All of it is a great and precious gift from on high.
All of it. But people, once again, the water for that comment, Sister Dorothy, the water. Thank you. Very powerful. The reason why people don't keep it is because people listen to the traditions of man and they don't listen to the very word that they say that they believe in. Let me show you, right? Let me pull it on the screen. Here it is right here. Right? Let me know when it's up and you can see it. And we're going to read it from the top and we're going to read it all the way down from when it says on March 7th, 321 AD, right? And we're going to read all of this all the way down. And this is why people are in the state of mind that they are in now and have been for hundreds or thousands of years, right? Because they are listening to man and saying that it does not matter. When he already told us it's a sign between him and his children. And not only that, it's a covenant. And no man on the earth can get between the sign of the Most High and his only begotten Son and a covenant that he has made with his children. No man has the right to do that. Nobody. So let's read this. I'll highlight it and we'll go from there. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, read it.
On March 7th, 321 AD, Roman Emperor Constantine issued the first civil Sunday law, mandating rest on the venerable day of the sun. Judges, city residents, and craftsmen were required to rest, while rural farmers were exempt to allow for agricultural work.
Now, do you see this? Let me highlight this part. The venerable day of the sun. He's changing the Shabbat day from, as we keep it on this Saturday, to what? Sunday. Something they already kept to worship who? The sun. The only people they allowed to continue to work is those that what? Were out there farming, working in the field. Because they kind of felt that they were lesser people anyway. Right? And then they didn't want their product to stop to continue on with their money. Right? You got something? Go ahead.
So for people who don't know what venerable means, it means accorded a great deal of respect, especially because of age, wisdom, or character.
Right.
So in other words, it's in respect to the son.
Right. She said for those who don't know what this word right here means.
Venerable.
Right. It's basically giving a great deal of respect, honor to the son. S-U-N, right? Not the only begotten son, but the son that you see in the sky. Because that's who they worship. And for those who know, it goes all the way back to Nimrod. I'm not going to get into all of that because, you know, that'll take us on a whole nother left turn. But it has to do with Nimrod and worshiping the sun. Because he was supposed to be the sun deity. It has to do with his son Tammuz. It's a lot. And his wife, Semiramis. But this is what these people worship, right? And this is why they changed it on March 7, 321 AD. The Roman emperor, Constantine, he did this. And it's going to go into even more detail. Let's continue to read right here. Historical contents. Go ahead. Context. Pagan and Christian.
I gotta wait till it gets there. Pagan and Christian fusion. Is that where you want me to start?
Yeah.
By referring to Sunday as the venerable day of the sun, the law accommodated both Christians who observed the Lord day. I'll say it like that because that's not his day.
Right.
And pagans who worship the sun Allahayam, Sol Invictus.
Sol Invictus, yep.
Empire unification. So historians generally view the edict not as a purely religious mandate, but as a political move to unify a fractured empire. The exemption, so people who didn't have to do it, was the agricultural exemption was included to prevent the loss of seasonal harvest, proving the law functioned primarily as a civil regulation rather than a strict religious observance.
Now for us, we don't believe in religion, but it was, once again, it was something that was given by the Most High as a sign between him and his people. And once again, a covenant. Now, anybody can pull up this information. This is not hidden, right? It's not hidden. So we go into more great detail, right? It says the historical shift from Saturday, the Jewish Sabbath, to Sunday, right? And of course, like it says, the Lord's Day occurred gradually over the first 3 centuries of the Christian church. So it didn't happen rapidly. It took time. Go ahead. If you want to read, go ahead.
It evolved from an organic religious commemoration into an institutionalized, politically backed mandate. Theological foundations.
Yeah.
The resurrection, early Christians shifted their primary gathering day to Sunday because Jesus resurrected on the first day of the week.
Now, is that correct, brothers and sisters? They said in the early believers, they shifted their primary gathering day to the first day of the week because Yahweh Shai resurrected on the first day of the week. But that's why I started off the lesson in Mark 2:28. It says that he was the master of the Shabbat, meaning he has supreme authority over the Shabbat. So why would you change what he has supreme authority over to go to another day that he didn't speak anything about having supreme authority over? He says that the Shabbat was created for who? Man. He didn't say nothing about the first day of the week. Let's continue on. The new creation, go ahead.
Early church writers dubbed Sunday the 8th day. It symbolized the start of a spiritual new creation following the original 7-day creation cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Biblical transitions. While the New Testament contains no explicit command to change the day, books like Acts 27, chapter 20, verse 7, and 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 2, document believers gathering and breaking bread on the first day of the week. Cultural and political shifts, second and third century,
because this is like when everything was shifting. They was taking the word of the Most High. Remember, the temple, everything got destroyed in what? 70 AD, right? So after this time, remember, all of the Jews that were there, the Judites, the Benjamites, and some of the Levites, they scattered. The other 10 tribes were already gone. So now they scattering because what? Everything has been destroyed. So these people have taken the Most High's word and they're basically bringing a whole nother form of religion and making people conform to what it is, what they call today Christianity, right? And this is why it says Judaism. There's no such thing as Judaism. There's no such thing.
Sister Dorothy says, Khan, but they dismiss Yah's word completely. It makes no sense. They believe in man, not Abba Yah. Khan, the rabbit hole is deep. Khan, they did the same thing with the new year. They changed times and laws just like the Bible said. And at no time did Yahweh Shai change Abba Yah's laws, covenant, etc. He is all about fulfilling the Father's will.
Khan, all praises, all praises, Khan. That's exactly 100% right. Go ahead, finish this up. Let's finish this up.
I can't see you move that. Where are we at? Dual observance? Gentile? Distancing from Judaism?
Yeah.
Okay. Following the Roman-Jewish wars and the destruction of Jerusalem, anti-Jewish sentiment spiked across the Roman Empire. To avoid Roman persecution targeted at Jewish customs, Gentile Christians increasingly separated their practices from the Saturday Shabbat.
So the new Christians that were coming to this faith, they separated themselves from the actual true tradition in keeping the Sabbath day to what? This new thing, which was called the first day of the week, which really was in the worship of the sun. And all this took place when? 2nd, 3rd, 4th century. And after that, it just kind of, took off. Go ahead, the next one.
The Gentile expansion.
Uh-huh.
As Christianity transitioned from a Jewish sect into a predominantly Gentile religion.
Oh,
Adherence to strict Mosaic laws, including the Saturday rest, faded.
you hear that? I mean, this is what's written. Like I say, all you have to do is do a little bit of research and you will see that the true word of the Most High, it says when these Gentiles came in, when these heathen came in, they started to turn away from what? The Mosaic law, including the Saturday rest, which was the Shabbat day. Why? Because now it was primarily a heathen religion. It tells you right there, a Gentile religion. So it was no more what it was when he was speaking to the children of Israel. Now the heathen, the Gentiles, had taken it over and they were turning away from the strict Mosaic law, including the Shabbat. And it says it faded, like it faded away. Well, we still keep it to today in 2026. You got something you want to add?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that where it says Gentile religion adherence to strict Mosaic laws, including Saturday rest, faded. I think the problem that people don't understand is that where it says Mosaic laws, because they automatically tie that to Moses having a law. Moses never had a law. It was the Most High's law that was passed through to Moses to speak to us.
Right.
So when they say Mosaic laws, they think that they're not breaking the law because it was not from the Most High, it was from Moses. So they feel like they don't have to do those things. But it still strikes me odd, because how is it that you're willing to recite other commandments that were in the same law, but you don't adhere to all of them like you should? You pick and choose what you want to hear.
Exactly.
And want to follow.
Exactly.
So when it says including the Shabbat day, you go up to a person and tell them the Shabbat day is, Saturday, and they'll tell them, no, it's not. It's Sunday. We all go to church on Sunday. No, not everybody.
This is why I wanted to show this through the Rakat, through the Spirit. This is why I wanted to show in black and white. I wanted to go over it again because I went over it many times about the Shabbat day. But I wanted to show it again. Why it is important for one who believes in the Most High and his only begotten Son, who is the master of the Shabbat day, to keep the Shabbat day. No one ever done away with the Shabbat. Hamashiach didn't do away with it. The Most High didn't do away with it. Moses didn't do away with it. Paul didn't do it. Peter didn't do it. Nobody did away with it. It was Constantine, a Roman emperor. That's who did this. The Roman Empire, who had them under subjection, mainly slavery, because those are the same people who killed who? Hamashiach Yahushua. Remember, they took him to who? Pilate, which was in the Roman army. He was a governor. So the same ones that were reigning power and authority over these so-called Jewish people are the same ones who instituted these new laws and made the people turn away. Well, I'm not even going to say really made, but these new Gentiles that were coming to this faith, they were 100% on board from turning away from what? The Mosaic laws, because they disagreed with the Mosaic laws. And they would not have came to this new founded religion if the Mosaic laws would have stand. Just like people would leave it today. If you told them that they had to keep the Mosaic law, they would leave. That's why, like she just said, most Christians, when you bring them the law, they said, no, we don't have to keep that. And you said, well, it's not Moses' law, it's the Most High law. They said, no, we don't care. We're not keeping it. We're not keeping it. It says right here, due observances, historical records show that for centuries, many early Christians observed both days. They kept Saturday as a quiet day of reflection and met on Sunday morning or evening. I'm not even going, this is crazy. So they keeping the Most High Day, and then they keeping Sunday as the worship day.
For corporate worship.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead and read that. Constantine, 321 AD.
Imperial and ecclesiastical legalization, the 4th century. Constantine's edict, 321 AD. Constantine's civil law provided the practical infrastructure for Sunday worship. Before this, Christians had to work on Sundays. The edict finally gave them a protected day of rest to focus on worship. The Council of Laodicea, 364 AD. The Christian Church officially formalized the theological transition at this council. Canon 29 explicitly outlawed Judaizing, resting on Saturday, and mandated that Christians must work on Saturday and honor Sunday instead.
So they don't realize, most people don't realize that they made it a law, and it is against the law for you to worship or rest on the actual Shabbat day that the Most High, his only begotten Son, had given, which he is master of. They call it Judaizing, resting on the Shabbat. It says, if you're a believer, you must work on the Shabbat day and honor the Son, which is Satan, instead. But now they don't have to make these people do anything. People are willing to do it. Like she was just stating, you try to tell somebody and they like, no, we're going to church on Sunday. We've always done it. This is how we have done it for generations. My great-grandmother went to church on Sunday. My grandfather went to church on Sunday. People don't understand where this really comes from. And as you can see, it says the council in 364 AD. Who are these men? They came together to make this law that it is wrong or against the law for you to celebrate the Shabbat day on Saturday. Who are these men in 364 AD that did this? We know they were not men of the Most High, because then that would mean that you're breaking what? The covenant that he gave to his children. And you're breaking the sign between him and his children. Once again, all that we have read in Exodus chapter 31. So these men in 364 and 321 AD could not truly be men of the Most High, because they were being what? Transgression. And we know that 1 John 3 and 4, transgression is of what? The law. They're breaking the law. They're sinning. But how can these men sin when they wasn't the children of Israel? So for them, the law wasn't given to them. So they are creating their own laws, which people are still following today in 2026, brothers and sisters. So I'm just letting you know Little bit of information. If you want to go deeper, like the sister said, the rabbit hole is deep. It goes deep, brothers and sisters. This is just a little bit off of the surface. This is like 2 layers peeled back. And there's many more. Matter of fact, to be honest, you'll never stop peeling it back. But I just wanted to show you this, you know. Let's go back to Exodus 31. You got something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just to be clear, that although the law wasn't given to them, if they cling to his people, then the law would apply to them. Because we can't.
Yeah, well, that's what we read in Exodus 28. Not even thy man servants, they maid servants, not even the cattle,
But
nobody.
I'm just speaking in the reference that people say, well, it wasn't given to us. Okay, it may not have been given to you, but when you attach yourself to an Israelite in any way, shape, or form, then the law is applied to you.
God.
Because people don't believe that. Oh, well, that's not really what I am, so I don't have to do that. Well, no, that is what you're supposed to do. That's why I say that they can't walk unless they agree upon it.
Yeah.
You know?
God.
If I said that right.
No, you said it right.
Right.
Sister Dorothy says, calm. But even before this time, our people were worshiping the sun, crying for Tammuz, passing the children through the fire. And it's just been one thing after the next. The Most High judgment is righteous. Calm. Praying in the temple to the sun, bowing down, all that stuff. You can read that in Jeremiah. Yeah. God, 100% correct. I'm just trying to show a person gonna do what they want to do, like you say, sister. You know, they're gonna do what they want to do. I'm just showing simply that in Exodus, it's a sign between us and the Most High. And this is how you become what? Consecrated. This is how you become hallowed. It's a perpetual covenant. So I don't care what anybody tells you that, oh, we've been going to church on Sunday for generations. Well, they lying to you. You need to keep the Sabbath day. He tells you that, right? He says you got to keep it. Why? Because it's a sign between me and you throughout your generations to what? Sanctify you. I mean, it's very clear. But let's go ahead and bust it wide open. You know, we here now. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. Starting at verse 1. And the world make it hard for you. Like you say, you got all these plans, people doing this, people doing that, you know. She also says, Khan, it's a lot. But we have to start talking serious, or Salakia, taking seriously responsibility for the things we did and continue to do. We're in the end times, just as the heathen are running out of time. So are we, Khan. 100%, Khan. You know, it's almost, you know, the water for that comment, Sister Dorothy. You know, it's almost sad, like you said, everybody's running on films, everybody's running out of time, you know, and you got to make that decision sooner or later, you know, sooner or later. Genesis 2:1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work, which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day from all his work, which he had made. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that the Father's name was not used at all in Genesis chapter 1. The Father's name, Yahweh, is not used into Genesis chapter 2. So in all of Genesis chapter 1, if you read it, it only says G-O-D, which means Elohim. Some people may say Elohim, which means power in a plural sense. But here in Genesis 2, it says, on the seventh day, Elohim ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he made. Now, here it is, verse 3. And Elohim exalted the seventh day and sanctified it. Now, when we look at it like this, you just say, okay, he blessed the seventh day, he sanctified it, because in that day he had rested from all his work, which Elohim created and made. Now, I want to show you something real quick. Let me just pull this up real quick. Let me share this. Now, remember, I just read to you Genesis 2 and 3, right? Let me show you this. Now, here's verse 2 again. It looks a little different because it's just showing the Hebrew. Like I said, I say Elohim. Some people may say Elohim, right? And it's saying it's talking about the seventh day. Remember, I said Shabbat just means to cease. So now you see the word ceased instead of the Sabbath day, because that's what it really means. When you click on that word and it goes to cease right here, cease, it says it's a strong 7673. It says to come to an end, to die out, to stop an activity for the purpose of what? Rest or celebration. There's where you get the word from, right? But it means to what? Cease. You need to stop. Now, what I want to focus on right here is verse 3. If you have your King James Bible, if you have any Bible, it says that he what? Blessed the seventh day. But notice it says right here to what? Kneel. When you click on that word kneel, let me blow it up on the screen. It's right here. It says to bend the what? Knee. My question to those that are listening and those that may watch this at a later time, who is bending the knee? Is it the Most High Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, the giver of life and the taker of life? Is he bending his knee? Or is it the Son, our brother, our friend, bending the knee? It says to kneel in homage or to kneel down to get a drink of water. Figuratively, to it what? Exalt. Alternative translations exalt. When written in a pael, if I'm pronouncing that right, but the whole moral of it is to bend the knee. So when you see that word blessed, which we say in the Hebrew, barak, is to bend the knee. Now we're going to come right back here real quick because I know somebody going to say, well, wait a minute. She says, I may lose you. It's raining now and the power is going in and out. Khan, I got you. Now right here in Genesis 2 and 3, let's see. Because it says right here, Genesis 2 and 3, and Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. Let's go to that word blessed, what we just went to, right? Notice it says and, that's not really there. It's really barak, right? The Hebrew 1288. Okay. The outline biblical usage, it says what? To bless or kneel. To kneel, to bless. Cause to kneel. You see it right here on the screen, a primitive root to what? Kneel. So once again, Who is kneeling? It can't be the Most High. It just can't be the Most High. The Most High doesn't come off the throne. And he's not going to kneel down to anybody because he's the Almighty, the Allah Shaddai in the Hebrew. Who is he going to kneel down to? But the Son would. The Son would kneel down. Why would he kneel down? He's going to tell you. He kneeled down for what? The seventh day to do what? To sanctify it. As she stated earlier, let's click on the word sanctify. To what? Outline biblical uses: to consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, to be hallowed, be holy, to set it apart. So he set this day apart. This is why he, in Mark 2:28, when he said he's master of it, he has authority over it, because he set the day apart. Because that in it, he what? He rested. He stopped from all of his work that he was doing and rested in that day from all his work, which he had created. Now, somebody might say, well, wait a minute now. Hold on, you're going too far. I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's go here real quick. Colossians chapter 1. Let's go down. And then we'll go back to Genesis. I'm going to just cut right to it, right? Verse 15, who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created. Who? Hamashiach Yahushua. This is who it's talking about right here. The only begotten Son. For by him were all things created that are in the Shemayim, in the heaven, and that are in the Arataza, which is the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. So when we go to Genesis chapter 2, who is kneeling down? It is the only begotten Son. Verse 17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have what? Preeminence. Preeminence. So when we go back to Genesis chapter 2, once again, verse 3, it says he kneeled on the seventh day to set it apart and rest in that day. That's why he is the master of it. This is why he says in Mark 2:28 that the Sabbath or the Shabbat was created for who? Who was it created for? Let's show it again for those who forgot. Mark 2:28. Salakia. 27. The Sabbath was made for who? Man. Why? It was made for you to rest in. To set that day apart. To rest in that day. And give that day and that time to bow your knee to who? Who are you going to bow your knee to? The Most High. That's why it was given to us. That's why he made the Sabbath day for man. You need that day of rest. Man don't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out the mouth of the Most High. This is why it's important when I show you this. Let me show you real quick. Once again, when you go here, let me see right here, where it says to bend the knee, how it's written here. It says, and Elohim exalted the seventh day, and he set him apart, given that in him he ceased from all of his business which Elohim shaped to make. He kneeled on that day. He ceased from his work. He stopped working that day. The only begotten son, I already showed to you in Colossians chapter 1, he stopped working on that day. He set that day apart for who? The Most High. Now let's go here. Let's move on. Let's go on. Let's move on. Let's go to 1611 Second Ezra real quick. This is the 1611 King James Bible, the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6. All right, you see it on the screen, chapter 6. Now I'm going to go all the way down to about verse 53. If you have not read it, I would encourage you to read it. For those who have not read it, I do encourage you, please go back, read every chapter, 1 to chapter 16, right? See, I'm going to go to 53. So this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 53. It says, upon the sixth day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creepy things. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest master, Adon, over all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. Everybody comes from Adam. Adam and Eve. That's where all the people on earth come from this very day. Verse 55. All this I have spoken before thee, O Yahweh, because thou madest the world for our sake. So the very world, the earth that we live in, it was created and made for the children of Israel. That's why the Most High made it. 56. As for the other people, all those other nations of people that are here in the earth, which also come from Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing. So every other nation, the Moabites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, all these other ites, the Most High said that they are nothing, but like unto spittle, and has likened them, or likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Yahweh, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be masters over us and to devour us. These heathen, these Gentiles, right? I already showed you what they've been doing to the Mosaic law, how they don't change the days, how they don't change the days of the week, the months, the years, the days that you should worship, giving you all of these heathen holidays, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, Yo Day, all these heathen pagan traditions. 58. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into the hands of who? These heathen. If the world now be made for our sake, the world was created for our sake. This is what Ezra is saying. Why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? How long are we going to be like this? And I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, you know, this is how people get out of it. Well, that's in the Apocrypha. We don't adhere to the Apocrypha. So we're not going to believe what you said, what you just read in the Apocrypha, because we don't believe in the Apocrypha. Okay, well, let's get it. Let's get it in Isaiah. If you don't believe in the Apocrypha, that's fine, because the same thing is written in the book of Isaiah. And you got to believe in the book of Isaiah if you believe in the Bible, not unless you just a New Testament only. So let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 13. Let's go right to it. Here it is, brothers and sisters. The same thing I just read to you in 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, 53 on down. Here it is in Isaiah 40 and 13. It says, who have directed the spirit of Yahweh, or being his counselor, who have taught him, with whom took he counsel, and who instructed him and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding. Who did this to the Most High? This is why I say, who bowed a knee to the Most High? The Most High ain't bowing the knee. He don't need to be taught. He don't need to be instructed. He don't need anything. Verse 15, behold, here it is, brothers and sisters. Behold, the nations, which are the people, are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the islands as a very little thing. And you might say, well, I don't really get it. Let's do the comparative text. New Living Translation says, no, for all the nations of the world are but a drop in a bucket. It's just a drop of bucket, just a little drop. They're nothing. They are nothing more than dust and scales. He picks up the whole earth as though it were a grain of sand. So, brothers and sisters, I'm showing you all of this. Luke 4 and 16 to show you that even the only begotten Son, which is the master of the Sabbath, I already showed you that in Mark.
Sister Dorothy said I need to stop having so much attitude, but it angers me when people say they don't believe in the Apocrypha, Old, New Testament. It's annoying.
Con. But don't get, I was there too with you, sister. You know, I've been through it too. And sometimes it still bothers me. I'm not gonna act like I'm above that. It bothers me. But they're just rejecting the true word. That's just a way for people to manipulate certain things and get out of certain situations. That's all that is. That's all that is. And you have to understand that they're using that as a ploy, a decoy, to try to get away or get out of certain things. That's the only reason. That's all it is. Because we know, as we look, and I've showed you, that men came together. There were not even true believers that came and said what they were going to put in the Bible and what they were going to take out of the Bible. And we know that man can't do this. It's written in the book of Deuteronomy, and it's also written in the book of Revelation that nobody can add and nobody could take away. So man can't come together at a round table and say, hey, we're going to put these books in the Bible, but we're not going to put these books. And that's what happened. It's just a simple research for people to know that the people that took out those books, which are called the Apocrypha, are the Protestants. And they did that so they can separate themselves from the Catholic Church. And you have to understand that every church that you see today, whether it's Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, Jehovah's Witness, non-denomination, all these churches are breakoffs, Salakia, from the Protestant church. The Protestant church, which is Martin Luther, who broke off of the Catholic church after he broke off, because before that, there was no other church but the Catholic church. There was no other. But when he broke off in the 1500s and started the Protestant movement, right? That's what it really was. Then after he broke off, other people broke off from him and started the Baptists and started the Methodists and started all of these other things. And that's where you get all of these different denominations and churches from. That's it. But we see here in the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 16. So I feel where you're coming from on that. But people say that they believe in the only begotten Son. They believe in Hamashiach Yahushua. They believe that he shed his blood, that he died, he hung on the tree. They believe all these things. And then they read these things. And the Bible says that we should walk as he walked. Right? We should do as he do. Before I go to Luke, let me get this real quick, and we're going to come right back to Luke. This is 1 John 2, right? 1 John 2, and I'm going to just go right to it before we go back to Luke, right? 1 John 2 and 3, it says, and hereby we do know that we know him. This is how we know if we know the only begotten Son. If we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So don't get mad. Don't get upset, sister. Right? They can try to wiggle out of it as much as they want. When the day of judgment comes, they're not going to be able to wiggle out of that. But whoso keepeth his word, in him truly is the love of the Most High perfected. Hereby know we that are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also to walk even as he walked. And if you get it in the comparative text, just as what our brother did, Hamashiach Yahushai, it says right here in the NLT, NIV, ESV, those who say they live in Elohayim should live their life as who? Yahushai did. So whatever Yahushai did, that's what you should do. And I'm going to go to Luke right after this and show you what he did. NIV says, whoever claims to live in him must live as who? Yahushai did. They want to say Jesus, let them say Jesus. They still lying because they're not living as he lived. The ESV says, whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way he which he walked. In the same way he which he walked. Now, with that being said, let's go back to Luke 4 and 16. This is how he walked. It's right here in the New Testament. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And it says right here, as his custom was. This was a custom. This was something he did every Sabbath day. Not on Sunday, not on the first day of the week, not on the third day of the week, but it said his custom was what? He went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. This was a custom of his. Why? Because he kept the Shabbat day. If you wanted to find him on the Shabbat, all you had to do was hang out at the synagogue. Why? Because he was going to be there. I don't know what time, because it doesn't say what time, but you can guarantee 100%. If you wanted to see the Son of Man, all you had to do was be at the synagogue because he was going to come. You just had to wait. He was going to be there because that was his custom. Why? Because he was the master of it. He is the one who gave us that day of what? Rest. Why would he give us something and then at the end or when he came said, no, you don't need it anymore? He created the day for us to rest in. Why did he go to the synagogue every Shabbat? Because he knew that that was a day of rest, and that's where the people were. The people that believe, that's why it's a sign between him and who? His people. Imagine he came back on the Shabbat day. Where would his people be on the Shabbat? If you a believer and you really believe in the only begotten Son and he came back on the Shabbat day, what would you be doing on the Shabbat? You would be resting. You would be at home, whether reading or you already went through your reading, you already went through your studying, and you would just be resting. Relaxation. You wouldn't be out. Like he said, when he come back, people are going to be what? They're going to be eating. They're going to be feasting. They're going to be getting married. They're going to be out drinking. They're going to be doing all kind of sorts of things. And what if that happened on the Shabbat? Well, his people, they're not going to be doing any of those things unless they're at home eating, unless they're at home drinking. They're not going to be doing that. I don't know. Nobody's getting married on a Shabbat day. I don't even believe that you can get married on a Shabbat day. I know you can circumcise if it's the 8th day and they land on the Shabbat. You know, you can circumcise your child, but I don't. Why would you wait till the Shabbat day to get married? That doesn't even make sense when you know that that's his day and you rested in that day.
Because they don't believe that Shabbat day is Saturday. They believe it's Sunday.
No, I'm saying for believers that do believe it. That's not something you would do. You wouldn't get married on a Shabbat day. Because you know, can't nobody do nowhere. You can't have no event and people moving around, cooking and doing this and doing that. It can't happen. It can't happen. So people that believe it wouldn't be getting married on a Shabbat day. But anyway, make a long story short, here it is. This is his custom. And it says in verse 17, and there was delivered to him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he read, he opened up the book. He found a place where it was written, the Spirit of the Most High Yahweh is upon me. He have anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives. What are you captive of? What are you bound by? Why are you brokenhearted? Why are you poor? You have to ask this is food for thought. He said he's going to preach the gospel. When people talk about preaching the gospel, these Christians come out and say, especially when you're on the highways and byways, they say, oh, why are you not preaching the gospel? What is the gospel? Because the gospel said it needs to be preached to who? The poor. He sent me to heal the brokenhearted, those that have a broken heart. Why are they brokenhearted? Why are they not whole, but their heart is broke? Why? They went against the Most High. To preach deliverance. Those people that were bound under that covenant, he is bringing them what? Deliverance. To who? Those people that are captive. Why? Because they're bound under that law that were given to them. In Exodus 24, when they said, all that you said, Moses, all that you said, we will do, and we will be obedient. And then he's going to give them what? Sight to the blind, those that cannot see, those that don't have eyes to see and ears to hear. He's going to give them what? Recovering of sight. To set at liberty, which is freedom, them that have been what? Bruised. To preach the acceptable year of the Most High. Verse 20. Then he closed the book and gave it again to the minister and sat down, and all the eyes of them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say unto them, this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears. And if you don't know that this is the gospel, then I don't understand what it is that you believe in. Because when you go to Luke 1, let's go back to Luke 1 real quick, and then we'll move on. Luke 1, and I just go to 67, right? Luke 1, and I go jump all the way down to 67. So this is Zacharias. He was filled with the Holy Spirit, right? The Kodash Rakah. Prophesied saying, right? This is Zechariah. Exalted be the Most High, Yahweh, the power of Yashra Allah. So he's giving honor, glory, and praise to who? The Most High Yahweh of who? Israel. It says he had visited and redeemed his people. Who is his people? His chosen people. This is what the gospel is. He's telling you in verse 67, he was filled with the Kodash Rakah. So he can't lie, and he's prophesying, saying that the Most High Yahweh have visited and redeemed his people. He have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant who? David. What does he mean? Through the bloodline of David, King David. He has raised this young man up, our brother, friend, Hamashiach Yahushai, to bring salvation to who? The children of Israel. Why? Why do they need salvation? Because they were bound. They were captives from the law that they were breaking. They were in sin and transgression. So they needed to be saved. Why? Because they were damned for all of the sin that they have committed, all the way from Adam until he came. Verse 70. As he spake by the mouth of his Kodash prophets, which have been since the world began. Adam, Seth, Jared, Enos, Methuselah, and on down, Enoch. 71. That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember what? The Kodash covenant. That same covenant that was spoken about that we read in Exodus 31. He said this is a sign of the Sabbath between my people, Israel, and a covenant. You think the covenant is broke now in the New Testament? Are you crazy? Zechariah is prophesying, telling you to remember his what? Kodash covenant. The oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him. What's the whole purpose? The whole purpose of Hamashiach Yahushai coming is that we might serve who? The Father without fear. In what? Holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. And thou, child, shall be called the prophet of the highest. Speaking about our brother, Hamashiach Yahushai. Thou should go before the face of the Adon to prepare his way, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. Through thy tender mercy of Elohim, whereby the day spring from on high have visited us, to give light to them that sat in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. And the child grew and waxed strong in the Rakah, and was in the desert till the day of his showing unto Israel. Now, this is Zechariah. For those who don't know who Zechariah is, this is John the Baptist, daddy. It's just a lot going on, you know. But let's go here. Let me show this. Matthew, as we getting ready to turn the corner to get ready to wrap it up. We still got a ways to go, but just bear with me. Matthew chapter 5, we're going to go to verse 17. Watch this. Matthew 5, verse 17. So, brothers and sisters, those out there that don't think that you have to keep the Sabbath day, the Shabbat day, that you can go to church on Sunday or the first day of the week or the third day of the week or fifth day of the week and all that. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with breaking bread on the first day of the week. There's nothing wrong with breaking bread every day of the week. But the Sabbath day or the Shabbat day, however you want to say it, is set apart. It is holy. It is consecrated. So you have to treat that day differently than all other days. Not my words, his words, which is the master of it. This is Matthew 5 and 17. It says, let there be no thought that I have come to put an end to the law or the prophets. Let there be no thought. That destroys all of the Christianity right there. All of those churches that say it's done with, is nailed to the cross, that destroys it. It says, let there be no thought that I have come to put an end to the law or the prophets. I have not come for the destruction, make complete. Truly, I say to you, till heaven and earth come to an end, not the smallest letter or part of a letter will in any way be taken from the law till all things be done or are done, Salakia. And all things have not been done. It says not even the smallest letter. And for those who know the Hebrew, the smallest letter in the Hebrew is what? The Yod. Some may say the Yod, which is the Y. That's the smallest letter in the Hebrew. It says not even the smallest letter will be taken from the law till all things are done, and all things have not been accomplished. Verse 19, whoever then goes against the smallest of these laws, if any man or woman goes against the smallest of these laws, teaching man to do the same, will be named least in the kingdom of heaven. But he who keeps the laws, those who keep the Shabbat day, the Sabbath day, those who don't eat pork, crab, shrimp, lobster, those who do not wear mixed fabric, and many other laws that don't lay down with man as they lay down with a woman, Leviticus 18. Those who keep the laws, teaching others to keep them, will be named great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you, if your righteousness is not greater than the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never go into the kingdom of heaven. And then there's no way you can get around that. That's written in black and white. Now, you can go to your pastor, you can go to your mama, you can go to your daddy, you can go to anybody you want. But when the day of judgment comes, you can't get around this. You cannot get around it. Let me show this real quick. Hebrews chapter 4. real quick.
For what?
Hebrews 4 and 8. Shabbat Shalom, Uziyat, the water for being here. All praises be to the Most High. Con. Hebrews 4 and 8. It says, for if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have said anything about another day. Verse 9. So that there is still a Sabbath keeping for the people of the Most High.
Is that for who?
Who?
What, you're on 8?
Number 8.
Yeah, what you say for who?
It says Joshua. I'm reading it in the BBE.
Oh, yeah, because it says Yahweh.
Yeah. Hebrews 4 and 9. So that there is still a Sabbath keeping for the people. For the man who comes into his rest has had rest from his works, as Allahayam did from his work. She asked me what translation I was in. It was in the BBE. I forgot to go back to the King James. Salakia. There it is. My bad.
I was like, what?
Which goes to show you I wasn't lying when I said that, how they changed the name in the book in the Old Testament, talk about Joshua, how it just said Joshua, but you see now in the King James it says Yahweh Shah. See what I'm saying? How these people play with the words. I just be trying to show y'all stuff. So verse 9, where I was at, it says, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of Elohim. Verse 10, for he that has entered into his rest, he also have ceased from his own works, as Elohim did from his. And that's what I was trying to explain to Akim and Akwathiam, brothers and sisters, that I know we have jobs. We have things that we do, and we have to live here on this earth. But I'm just going to tell you the real. And this is what it says. No matter what we have, and we say we got to live on earth and we got to pay bills and all that, that's not what the Most High want us to do. It's just not. I know we still do it, but that's not what he want. He tell you right here. You can get it in any comparative text. New Living NIV says, for all who have entered into Elohim's rest, meaning you entered into him, have rested from their labors, just as Elohim did from creating the world. For anyone who enters the Most High's rest also rests from their works, just as Elohim did from his works. Now, when we go here, let's go into these words now, right? I'm just showing you what it says. Let's go here. For he that has entered into the rest, he also has ceased, right? Let's get ceased first. The outline biblical usage, it says to make quit, to cause to be at rest, to grant rest, to lead to a quiet abode, to settle down, to colonize, right? To cease. Okay, we got that word. From his own works, the Greek 2041. So let's see from what your own works are. The outline biblical usage, it says right here, from your business, your employment, that which anyone is occupied. So whatever you're occupied, 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, some people work 12 hours a day. That's what you're occupied by. And it's not the Most High. It's that job you got. It says in verse 1, that which undertakes to do, enterprise, undertaking, any product, whatever, anything accomplished by what? Hand, art, industry, or mind. Anything that you out there doing. Verse 3, it says, an act, a deed, a thing done. The idea of working is emphasized to that which is less than work. By implication, strong definition, it says that an act, deed, doing, labor, and work. And I know brothers and sisters be like, hey, but we got to live. I understand. I mean, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I'm in the same position. But the Most High said, if you entered into me, Hamashiach Yahushua said, if you entered into me, then you cease from all that stuff. You give all that stuff up. Now we understand why the apostles and all those people, once they came into that truth, they went and sold all their properties and everything they had, and they just took the money to the apostles for who? The body, for the church. And whatever they could do, they helped one another. But they wasn't in the world anymore. They wasn't a part of that system anymore. They separated themselves from all of that. And that's what he asked us to do. It says in verse 11, let us labor, therefore, to enter that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. And like I say, I'm not telling you I'm out of the loop. I'm in it too, brothers and sisters. I'm in that, what they call it, the rabbit race, or what they call it. I forget what they call it. The rat race. I'm in it just like you, and I'm trying to get out of it. And this is how the enemy keeps us. This is how they keep us captive. This is how they keep a hold of us. This is how they keep dominion over us. This is how we're still enslaved while also thinking that you're free. Because let you not show up to that job. Let you not have the money to pay your light bill or your rent or your car note.
Uzi said, and distracted.
And what?
Distracted.
And distracted. Uzi out the water. And distracted. This is how they do all that. So yeah, they say, yeah, you a believer. Okay. But you better have your butt to work on Monday. I don't care how much you say you believe. Let you not show up. Let you, and then like he said, being entertained. We have to be careful with what we entertain with. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But this whole purpose of this whole lesson is the Sabbath day, brothers and sisters. And I just try to show you when we was in Genesis chapter 2, that Hamashiach Yahushua, the only begotten son, was the one that kneeled down. He was the one who created the Sabbath day. He was the one who made the Sabbath day. Just like in Mark 2:28, he said he's the master of it. He's the master of it because he created it for us to be able to rest in and focus not only on him, but the Father. And he knew that man would need a day of rest because, we men want to go, the world wants us to go 24/7. This is why when you come into the rest with him, he said you got to give all that stuff up. Watch this. Let me see real quick. We still in the King James. Acts, I believe it's Acts 6 that I'm going to. Watch this. Okay. Acts 6:1, right? Real quick. Acts chapter 6, verse 1. Turn there with me. It says, and in those days, when the number of disciples were multiplied, there arose murmuring amongst the Grecians, or of the Grecians, against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration, right? Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them and said, it is not reason that we should leave the word of the Most High and serve tables. So the apostles said, I understand these people have a cause and they feel a certain way, but That's not reason enough for us to leave the word of the Most High and serve tables. I just want to see how it's rendered in the comparative text real quick. In the NL, it says, so the 12 called a meeting of all the believers. They said, we, apostles, should not, or Salakia, should spend our time teaching the word of the Most High, not running a food program. That's what they were saying. This is what the apostle said. We don't have time to run a food program. We would like to, but we don't have time to do that. Why? Because we teaching the word of the Most High. And the NIV is rendered like this. So the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, it would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the word of the Most High in order to wait on tables, to serve tables, to run a food program. The ministry is too important. We can't neglect the word of the Most High to do these things. We just can't do it. So how does the Most High and his only begotten Son feel about you working 12 hours a day? And most of the time, people didn't even have time to read that day. You never opened up the word to read that day. You forgot to fall down on your knees and pray that day. But you gave time to your enemy. You gave time to your employer. You gave time to the TV. You gave time to the computer. You gave time to your cell phone. You gave time to social media. You gave time to everything else, but you didn't even give 30 minutes, 15 minutes to the Most High, the one that you say you believe in. If it says in Acts 3, wherefore, brethren, look ye out among you 7 men of honest report, full of the Quadash Rakah and wisdom, whom we may appoint over this business. But we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the ministry of the word. That's why I try to tell people, they say, well, Luke was a physician, Peter was a fisherman, Paul was this. They were that before they came into the truth. Once they came into the truth, they wasn't those things anymore. Peter wasn't out in the ocean fishing anymore. No, he says continually. Luke wasn't a doctor. He wasn't working on people anymore. Now, do we need those type of people in the world? Of course we do. How would the world live? But is every man called to ministry? No. Is every man a minister? No. We're speaking about the men that are in ministry. The apostles can spend our time in prayer and teaching the word. And we'll give our attention to prayer and to the ministry of the word. But we will devote ourselves to prayer and to the ministry of the word. That's all they did. That's what a man that's in ministry of the Most High, that's what you're called to do. You don't have time for anything else. Peter was married. Even though the Bible don't go into too much detail about his wife, but he left his wife. He was out traveling in the ministry, giving out the word. That's why they ask, we have left everything. And this is how you get the brothers, Philip, Stephen. This is how you get all of these 7 men. They became, I believe, deacons, right? This is how you get these men. Because they had to be appointed because the apostles They had to stay focused on the word of the Most High. So let's go here as we wrap up. Ephesians chapter 1. I just wanted to show that, brothers and sisters. You know, am I saying that a man shouldn't work? Of course, I'm not saying that. Not saying that at all. It's a hard discernment when the man is a minister of the Most High, the things that he has to sacrifice. You know, when a man is a minister of the Most High, he has to sacrifice a lot. Not only his own self, if he does have a wife, if he does have children, if he does have a job, if he does, like none of those things are at the same level as ministering the word of the Most High, because that comes first. And certain people can't understand that the Most High and his word comes before anything else. And it's hard to tell your significant other, or it's hard to tell your children, or it's hard to tell your job, or your brothers, or your friends, or your family that you can't be there the way they want you to be there because you're out ministering the word. So there's a sacrifice that comes with that when you are a minister of the word of the Most High. That's why James tells us that not all of us, let me get that real quick before I go to Ephesians, James 3. I'm just going to show you when he tells us this, my brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive greater condemnation. He's letting us know that not a lot of us should become teachers. Tells you that. New King James right here, my brethren, let not many of you become teachers, knowing that we shall receive a stricter judgment. Dear brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach shall be judged more strictly. Your judgment is different than everybody else's. So who would run to that? Who would run to be judged? That's like, okay, you see people getting right now in the court system, you see people getting 50 years, 100 years. People are not going to run to do that, to get judged even more stricter. And this is James, Yahushua brother, telling us that. So, you know, the call to be in ministry, the call to minister, the call to be one that brings forth the good news and the gospel, it's a beautiful thing. As the Bible says in Romans 10, it's a beautiful thing. But at the same time, you have to know what you're really getting yourself into and the sacrifice that entails with it. You know, that's what it means about count the cost before you get into it. In that parable, don't start and then get halfway through and then you can't finish. Like the parable tells you, everybody's going to laugh at you because you didn't count the cost before you got started. And I already gave my testimony on that about, you know, how it was brought to me in the beginning through the Spirit. I thought it was this physical person telling me. And they was telling me, you know, hey, when you get into this, you know, it's serious. Like, it's going to be a change of life. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And I was like, yeah. You know, wet behind the ears, a babe, not knowing and not counting the cost. And it's a cost to this. And a lot of men don't count the cost, you know. Women too, brothers and sisters. But there is a cost when you come to the Most High and His only begotten Son, when He redeems you. Here it is, brothers and sisters, to wrap this whole thing up about the Shabbat. So should you keep it? Yes. It's a sign between us. It's a covenant. I don't care what man told you. I don't care what I showed you in 321 and 368. They came with all these different councils and the emperor, he decreed it. I don't care. Nobody can go against the word of the Most High and change the word of the Most High. No man on this earth. So this is the book of Ephesians chapter 1 verse 3. And it says, Barak be the Allah, Father, Abba, of our Adon, Master, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who have baraked us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Hamashiach, according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. Brothers and sisters, before the Shabbat was even created, you were already chosen. Before the world was formed that we now dwell in, you were already chosen. He lets us know here, before the foundation was even laid, you were already chosen. So when he created that day and made that day and manifested and brought it forth in Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 and 3 and 4, you were in mind. He made that day in mind of you to what? Rest in that day, because the day was given to who? His chosen people. What a beautiful thing that he gave us our own day to rest in him, which is the master of it. He set it apart for us to be able to rest in him and in his Father, our Father. That we should be what? Quadash, set apart, holy, and without blame before him in love. Why? Because he knew he was going to redeem us. He knew it. And that's why it is a sign between us and him. To not only let us know, but to proclaim to the world. All those people who go to church on Sunday, keep going. You want to go. We don't told you it's wrong, and you still fighting and saying you're going to go when you want to go. Well, go. But those that are his people, the ones that have been chosen before the foundation of the world, the ones that are holy and without blame in love, continue to keep the Shabbat day, the day that he created, brought forth for you and I. Verse 5, having predestined us unto the adoption of children by Yahweh Shai HaMashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will, to the praise and glory of his grace, wherein he have made us accepted and beloved. Now we are accepted. We were sinners, cast out, didn't know anything, running amok like the heathen, living like the heathen. But now, brothers and sisters, we have been made accepted, beloved, in whom we have redemption through his blood now. The forgiveness of our sins according to the richness of his grace. He's very merciful. He's long-suffering, and he's very compassionate to us, wherein he abounded towards us in all wisdom and prudence, having made known to us the mystery. It's made known to us the mystery. Some people don't know that it's a sign. Some people don't know that the Sabbath is a covenant. They just say, well, he didn't say anything about it in the New Testament, so we don't have to keep it. So you telling me that the covenant is done away with? You telling me that there is no more sign to him and his people? But see, that mystery has been made known to us of his will, according to his good pleasure, which he have purposed in himself, that in the dispensation of the fullness of times, he might gather together in one all things in Hamashiach, both which are in the Shemayim and which are on the earth, or Arataza in the Hebrew, even in him. So even those that are in the heavens and those that are in the earth are all being, everything is working together through Hamashiach Yahawashi. All of those things that are invisible for us and the things that are visible are all working as one through Hamashiach Yahawashi, in whom also we have obtained an inheritance, all praises. What's the inheritance? That we were going to be what? Resurrected. That you will be with him and his only begotten son in the kingdom with a crown, palm in your hand, walking in upright in righteousness, being predestined according to the purpose of him who worketh all things after the counsel of his own will. So like I was telling the sister Dorothy earlier, don't get mad. I know it's emotional when you try to tell these people and they reject the Apocrypha, they reject the Sabbath day, they reject the way of the truth. But just like I had to come to terms, you have to understand that all brothers and sisters are not predestined, and that there are tares amongst us. You never know, you may be going back and forth with a tear. And not all are predestined. But the mystery has been delivered to those that are what? Predestined, that have been chosen.
She said, Khan, we are still with the Qadash Rakah of promise, Ephesians 1:13.
Khan. We getting there. Khan. So those predestined ones, the mystery is being revealed to them on a day-to-day basis. We're learning more and more and more every day. Verse 12, that we should be to the praise of his glory, who first trusted in who? Hamashiach, the anointed one, the Messiah, the only begotten son. See, they trust in him. You have to put your trust in the only begotten son. And if those people that deny, like you said, the Sabbath, the law, his word, they reject all those things, that's because they're not truly putting their trust in him. I'm not talking about you falling. I'm not talking about you stumbling. I'm not talking about you doing something one day and then dusting yourself off and getting back up. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that reject the very word of the Most High, that stay in Catholicism, that stay in those churches, in the Baptist church, in the Methodist church, in the Presbyterian church, in the non-denomination church, knowing in their heart that they're not telling you the truth, but you stay there. That's not believing in the anointed one, in the only begotten son. It's not. Verse 13, as the sister just brought out, in whom ye also trusted after that you heard the word of what? Truth. See, when you hear that word of truth, you can get up and walk out that church. When you hear the word of truth, you can get up and separate yourself from that congregation, that camp, whatever it is. Why? Because now you have heard the word of truth. The gospel of your what? Salvation. You dealing with your salvation. You would rather give your salvation up for a man on this earth, some church, some camp, in whom also after that ye believe, you were what? Sealed with that Quadash Rakah, the Holy Spirit of promise. See, when you get up and walk out of that church, what you're doing is you're sealing yourself. You putting a seal, saying that I'm not gonna walk with man, and I'm not gonna believe what man say. I'm gonna walk with the Most High and His only begotten Son. And if it takes me to leave out of this church that I've been in for 10 years, this camp that I've been in for 15 years, this congregation of people that I've known all of my life, I'm willing to do it. And right then and there, that day that you walked out, you became, as it says, sealed with the Quadash Rakah of the promise, which is the earnest of our inheritance until the redemption of our purchased possession, unto the praise of his glory. Wherefore, I also, after I heard of your faith in the Adon, the Master, Yahushua, and love unto all the saints, he says, cease not to give thanks for you, making mention of you in my prayers, that the Elohayim of our Master, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Father of glory, may give unto you the Rakah, the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him. That's the only way you're going to truly come to the understanding. It has to be given. No, look at what he's saying. People don't know what they reading. They talk about Yahushua is the Father and they are one and it's 3 in 1 and they call him the Most High and people are confused. It's sad, but they don't really have the understanding because they are not the ones that are predestined. He's putting it to you and telling you right here that the Allah, the power of our Adon, our Master, Yahushua, Hamashiach, the Anointed One, the Father of glory, may give unto you. Who's going to give it to you? The Father. The spirit of what? Wisdom. And what? Revelation. How do you get that revelation? It has to be given to you from who? The Father. That's why when Peter stood up, when Yahushua was here on earth, and Peter stood up and he said, where will we go? You're the only begotten Son of the Most High. What did Hamashiach Yahushua say? He told Peter to his face, you didn't say that. You know how you got that revelation? My Father gave you that. Any revelation you get or any understanding that we have, we get it from on high, from the Father. In the knowledge of who? Him. Verse 18. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that you may know what is the hope of his calling. Do we understand the hope of the calling that you've been enlightened with? A lot of times we just read these things and we go over and, it just goes right over people's head. We got to slow down, brothers and sisters. Look at what he's saying. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened. He's opening up your understanding. All of these revelations, all of these different things, now you understand. You come to this understanding of who the Most High truly is and who his only begotten Son truly is. And not only that, your hope, your calling of what you were really put here on earth for. like I just tried to show you guys earlier in Hebrews, is not to serve that 8-hour job a day or that 12-hour job or to go to school to get you a master's degree or whatever type of, it's not that. It's not to play basketball and football and the entertainment stuff. It's not to become an actor or a rapper. It's not that. Anyway, the hope of his calling and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power toward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power. Which he wrought in Hamashiach, when he raised him from the dead and set him on his right hand in the heavenly places. Now the Bible say he on the right hand. You can go to a church and they tell you, no, they all together. No, they 3 in 1. It's the Godhead. And the Bible says he's on the right hand. But you listening to men ain't going to believe what the Bible say. You going to believe that they 3 in 1. He goes on to tell you far above principality. He's far above that. And power and might and dominion and every name that is named, not only in this world, but also in that which is to come. So yeah, he got dominion not only of things that are invisible and things that are visible, not only in this world, but also that which is to come. All across the board. Nothing is going to change. He is always going to have this authority and have put all things under his feet and gave him to be the head over what? All things to the body, which is his body, the fullness of him that filleth in all. Who gives it to you? The Most High. Through who? His only begotten Son, Hamashiach, Yahushua.
Sister Dorothy said, Khan, we are still with the Qudash Rakah of promise.
Khan.
That was the one I read earlier. Then she said, Hallelujah, may our Alahayam glorified. Hallelujah.
Khan.
And the job is a tool to get money. It's not our whole life.
Khan. And what I mean by that, I know we have to live, brothers and sisters. Like I say, it's a hard thing, especially these jobs that we have. But we have to understand that this new world, when you do the research and understand that we didn't live like this, you shouldn't have to pay for fruit. You shouldn't have to pay for things that grow freely from the earth. We shouldn't have to pay for water, but they have destroyed the water so much that now we have to pay for bottled water. We don't even know how to live when COVID hit. Mm-hmm. Look how people were in line. Like we don't even know how to live. We don't know how to fend for ourselves if the grocery store closes down. What happens if there is no more grocery stores? There are no more Walmarts. There are no more Costco, Sam's Club, all these big stores that they are. What happens if they go out of business? There are no more mass chicken farms, beef farms, none of that. How are you going to survive, brothers and sisters? And that's what I'm saying. They have made an industry off of us, and now we have to tend to or lean on our enemies, as it says in the curses, Deuteronomy 28, that you would have to go to your enemy for what? Clothes. You will have to go to your enemy for what? Food. You will have to go to your enemy for what? Shelter. You will have to go to your enemy for a loan. You will be what? You won't be the one that's loaning. you'd be the one that's taking out the loan. So all those curses that were given to us, we have fallen under, you know, all of those curses. Sister Dorothy says that there's one theology. Oh, you want to read it? Go ahead. It's on the screen.
That 3-in-1 theology never sat right with me. I start imagining a 3-headed beast / dragon. Shake my head. Christianity really diminishes the glory and honor due to the Most High Yahweh.
Khan.
And then Uzi Yah was laughing at Dorothy's comment.
Khan, Uzi Yah.
Dorothy said, I've been learning how to grow food things. If I ever get my own home, I hope to have my own hens.
Khan. And that's what we should be doing. That's all I'm saying. If we knew how to provide, like she said, we had our own land, we can plant fruit trees, we have our own hens or animals, whatever you want. We would have our own land. We can live off of the land. We could dig our own well to have water. And you don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. You don't have to buy from these businesses. Now, where's your job at? It's tending to your own land, your own home. Why? Because you don't have to go out and work for that, because you don't need that revenue. You have everything you need right here. You can make your own clothes. You have animals. You have trees growing in the back. You have things that you planted in the ground that you can pull out the ground and eat. So it takes away that source that they have given us, you know, but we're so dependent on everything that is here that they use that against you. And this is why you become a slave to your enemy in this rat race that you're in, where you have to go work these 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Because now you have a car, you have a car note, and you have insurance, and you have tags. And if you have an apartment or a home, even if you buy a home, then you have the taxes of the land and sales taxes and this and that. It's always a circle just to keep getting more revenue, more money. But it's crazy because they print the money. How can we run out of money and you print it in a machine? It's just paper and ink. Well, they only print so much so it can keep the value. Otherwise, it would become worthless, because that's what it really is worthless. But if you only print so much and you got it all, and then you tell people they need it in order to go to the store to buy or sell, which the book of Revelation says, everybody waiting on the mark of the beast, it's already here. It's already here. You waiting on an IFD chip. Man, we got a chip in your pocket right now. Try to go to the store and you ain't got that money in your pocket or that credit card or that card to swipe. I guarantee you they won't give you nothing.
Well, technically, the telephone.
What you say technically?
Yeah, because if you think about it.
You do have a chip, huh? Go ahead.
Your phone.
The cell phone.
You link your card to your phone. And when you go to the store, a lot of times you see people just pull out their phone and scan that.
And pay with their phone.
Because they pay with their phone.
Right.
They don't need the cards.
Right.
When you're online, everything online.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. She said now that people just paying with their phone. You don't even need to card anymore.
People wonder, how did someone get my information? Well, look, once you put your card online,
it's a wrap.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't need your card in physical hand in their hand to do something with your information. She says, Khan, they've designed communities in such a way that you won't be allowed to grow your own food or have your own cattle.
Right.
They've set up HOAs to ensure you can't have freedom in your own home. Yeah. And this is why we as a collective people should come together, and buy property somewhere where we don't have those type of things, and we could come together and purchase some land and start to build, and have our own community, and that's why we should do that. But it's one thing to say it,
Listen, you can say it and manifest it. I'm gonna just leave it at that because I'm not even gonna say it and then speak negative. We can say it and manifest it, but they're within the city limits. As the sister is saying, yeah, they set up these things to where if you purchase a home in the city limits and all, HOA and all, yeah, you're not gonna be able to do it. They're not gonna even let you have a garden. Matter of fact, you can't even have too many people over your home. I don't believe in certain HOAs you can't even have people park on the street. If the car don't fit in your driveway, you can't even have people park on the street. So, yeah, it's crazy. She said something else.
She said,
I don't want any
HOAs. I want to stay in the country.
That's what I'm talking about.
Uzi Yah said, true, you aren't even allowed to have rain collectors on your own property in some states. Water should be free.
Water should be free, but they don't want it to be free. You should be able to put those containers out when it rains and you can fill it up and you can use that water. You can drink it or you can use it for what to wash with or whatever. But no. Why? Because that's free. They can't charge you for that. In a minute, they're gonna charge you for air. They're gonna charge you for air. They're gonna find a way to charge you for air. It's better air here. If you want better air, you can live in this bubble. And we pumping it in, and it's good for you and your life and your lifespan. All of these communities that they're building.
Sister Dorothy said, "I kid you not. If I ever get the money, I'm buying a ghost town."
Man, and that's how they and see that's another thing where people where land is feasible and where we can get together and buy those land. Where is it at? It's out in the desert. It's out where people don't want to live because there's nothing out there and it's 150-degree heat and nothing can live if you plant it and things. It's just hard, But like I say, we're not going to speak negative. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if it's the Most High will that we come together and we able to do this, then it will be done. Because there are brothers and sisters that have done it. And I ain't saying you got to move to Israel or you got to move to somewhere where it's just, in the rainforest or something like that. I'm just saying there is a possibility where there's a place where we could get 50 acres of land, 100 acres of land. And if we come together as a people, we can plant. Like the sister said, we can plant food. We can have animals. And we can live off of the land and be set apart and be separate as we should be as believers, and not have to lean onto who? The enemy. Not have to lean onto what? The world. We don't have to go to these grocery stores and give them this money. You can separate yourself from that 8-hour job a day or that 50-hour job week. You don't have to give your time to that. You can give your time now. Imagine that 50 hours that you were given to that job. Now you can give that to the Most High daily. Throughout the week, those 50 hours you used to work that you were so tired, so stressed, so, you didn't have time to tend to nothing else, barely had time to go home, take a shower, get rest, eat, and then get right back to work. Now you can give that time, half of that, not even all, just half of that, just 25 of those hours to the Most High now. Imagine how much better you would feel serving your Creator now, giving those 25, 30 hours out of that week to your Creator now. How much stress would be taken off of you. And then as a brotherhood, you have a community of brothers and sisters in righteousness. You don't have to look out over your shoulder. You don't have to lock your door. You don't have to worry about nobody conniving, planning against you, trying to bring you down. None of that, just righteousness. Imagine that. Imagine that. How beautiful that would be, And that's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get to. The sister says, I would love to make a brand new Israel Hill. Khan.
She said, I'd rather buy a ghost town and build it up. The structure is already there. You just have to renovate. And because you own the town, you hire your own police steps, fire department, etc. Brothers can move around town in peace.
What's crazy is I was watching a documentary, and I mean, these people wasn't right. They were doing things that they shouldn't have done. But what you said is just what these people did. They moved somewhere far out, right, to a town on the skirts of somewhere, and they basically built the town up. They built a whole thing. They had their own police department. They had their own fire department. They had everything in the community, the stores or whatever. It was all theirs. No outsiders. It was all theirs. Now, unfortunately, over time, the men were wicked. And for those who know what I'm talking about, you may know. I think it's called the FLDS or something like that. But they were taking the young girls and doing things that they had not been doing with children. And that's what ultimately became their downfall. But the gist of it, of what they were building up with no outsider help, just within their community, they were able to do it because everybody agreed that they needed to do this without the outside help, without the outside world. So it can be done, but they didn't do it in complete righteousness, you know.
She said, furthermore, our presence would cause other businesses to move into the area. She said they were a cult. We're not a cult.
Con, exactly. That's why I said the format of it, of what they did, how they went and they built something up, yeah, beautiful. But they were a cult and they were doing things, like I said, that they shouldn't have been doing. And the basis of their foundation was completely off. I'm only stating what they were doing. Like they had their own police, they had their own fire department, they had their own town, and nobody could just infiltrate or just come in there because that it was their town. They, you know, all of the town was theirs. So, you know, but yeah, they were a cult. For those who know, like I said, I think it was FLDS or something like that. I'm not sure if they're still around, but yeah. But let me get this last scripture before I go out real quick. Revelation chapter 3. For those who feel that way, you know, I'll start at 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world, or all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. You have to understand, brothers and sisters, they're telling you, I know this message was about the Sabbath day. We went into a few other things, but you got to understand that the world is going to tell you this, okay, you don't have to keep that Sabbath day on Saturday. It's okay for you to go to church on Sunday. But that's temptation from the enemy, from Satan. It says to what? It says to try them that dwell upon the earth. And if the word says keep the Shabbat day and it's a sign between him and his people and it's a covenant, no man on earth, as I already showed you through the lesson, I don't care how many councils they have, what man come along, nobody can change that and take that day and turn it into another day. But in Revelation 3 and 10, it's telling you that they're going to try them that dwell upon the earth. Verse 11, he says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, brothers and sisters, that no man take thy crown. And if you go to church on Sunday and you make that your rest day, somebody's taking your crown, brothers and sisters. I'm just trying to get you to see that. Somebody is taking your crown. Some man is taking your crown. Verse 12. He that overcometh, the one that overcomes that and comes back to the Sabbath day, will I make a pillar in the temple of my power. And he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my power and the name of the city of my power, which is the new Jerusalem, which cometh down out of the Shemayim from my power. And I will write upon him my new name. I'll leave you with this, brothers and sisters, on this beautiful Shabbat day. He that have an ear to hear, let him hear what the Rakah, the Spirit, saith unto the churches, unto the body. I'll leave you with that. Hopefully, this was a message. It was edifying for you. Hopefully, you got something from it. If you believe in your heart, mind, and soul that the message was edifying, I encourage you to go back. For those who didn't watch the whole thing, go back and watch the whole thing. And if you believe that the message is edifying, please share it with your brothers and sisters that are scattered to the four corners of the earth. Because once again, in Exodus 31:13 on down, it is a sign between him and us. And it is a covenant, brothers and sisters. And no man on this earth can change that. I don't care how many councils they have. I don't care how many people came to the council. No man can change the day that was given to us in Genesis chapter 2. And that's the seventh day. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh, the Ancient of Days and the Giver of Life. Once again, if you believe that this message is edifying, please share it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we go live. And please join us tomorrow on the first day of the week to break bread at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please join in. Let's see. The sister Dorothy says some of these ghost towns and islands cost just as much as a house.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. You know.
Uzi, y'all said Hallelujah, y'all, and then Sister Dorothy said the water for class have a Barak Yam Mash
Khan. Tawada for being here. Once again, thank you, Tawada, for all those that join in and will join in or will see it at a later time. Once again, Tawada. Words can't even express it. I just say Tawada from the heart. And may you have a beautiful rest of your Shabbat day. Get that rest. Give praises to the Father and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, that laid down his life for us. You know, at this ninth hour that's approaching, for me, I always say, the water Hamashiach Yahushua for all that you have done, all that you do, and all that you continually do, being on the right hand of the Father, right hand side of the Father. We just say thank you, the water. Words can't even express it. And the water to you, Abanawi Yahweh, for all that you do, all that you have done, and all that you continually do as our Father, as our Abba. All praises be to you, the Ancient of Days, the Giver of Life, the Taker of Life, the water. You know, so with that being said, brothers and sisters, that's all I got. If anybody got anything before we close, you can put it in the chat. If not, we're going to get ready to close out. You got anything you want to say? No? Okay. Hey, let me just show you this real quick, brothers and sisters, for I leave. I was looking into the Paleo Hebrew, right? The ancient Hebrew, and I just wanted to show you this real quick. Let me make sure my screen is sharing. I know for those who don't know Hebrew, this might look crazy to you. This is the book of Genesis, though, right? And I'm still looking into it. But that word Barak, as we say, in the Hebrew, it's not written like that. It's actually written, Wa Ya Baraka. So that, for those who know, this is the Wa, the Ya, the Ba, the Ra, and the Ka. So I'm going to look more into it, but I want to know, why is it written like this? And even in the modern day, they still using the same letters. So it's Wa Ya Baraka. So instead of just being Barak, it's Wa Ya, or Wa Ya Baraka. So that was something interesting that I would, in my studies, when I be studying, going into the Hebrew and things like this, especially the ancient Hebrew, it was something that caught my eye, you know. So I just wanted to share that with any of the Akim out there, or the Akwatium that may have insight in it or know anything, you know. Please let me know. So yeah, I just wanted to share that as I was like going through my research and my studies, you know. Especially with that word being so powerful, because it means to kneel or to exalt. So I just wanted to kind of go into it a little bit. But I just wanted to share that with my brothers and sisters. once again, all praises. Like I say, I know some of you guys can't read this. For those who can't read it, I understand, but this is what you would call Paleo Hebrew, and this is how the scriptures are really written in Hebrew. So for those who have that understanding, all praises be to the Most High. Did I share that? Okay. I was just making sure it was shared. Okay. All right. I'm going to play the video as always. I go out. Once again, enjoy the Shabbat. Kwam Yasharala. And I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. my time. Make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you can get that notification, hit the thumbs up. And like I say always, you believe it's edifying, please share it. And I'll see you tomorrow on the first day of the week to break bread. Here's that video with our brothers.
Yeah. The goal became them. The sons of Zion turned to dust in the street. But prophecy said Edom joy going. Watch the flip. Tables turning sheets. How the gold turned in with a shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see true, rewind it. Eat them laughing, but the clock keeps slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fold. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold blue. Gold turned in, but we pure in the core. Blood on the soil, they don't open that door. Zion cry out from the block to the shore. With the change to corporate war. We was kings, not slaves in chains. Built the city, now they profit our pain. Stones of the sanctuary poured in the street. Crown got cracked, but the spirit don't sleep. Famine hit hard, moms cry tears. Babes in the dust, no bread, no years. Eat them laugh loud, think judgment delayed. But the wrath coming fast, it's already in play, yeah. How the gold turned on with a shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see truth, rewind that. Eat them laughing, but the clock ticks slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fold. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold. He don't rejoicing, but that joy sure live. Oh, but I wrote it, that's what it is. Payback double for the dirt they did. Prophets outside, we don't play no kid. Bred by the sword, still living on edge. Skin blacked out from the famine and dread. Wilderness heat got us counting our steps, but we still here. Never lost, never dead, we the sons here. They the fine gold, testify, made pure. Tribulation, invested streets filled with saints. Whole crew resurrected, judgment gon' drop, that's divine correction. How the gold turned in, we the ones they forgot. But the scroll still reads, so the story don't ride. Eat them laughing now, but the sky gon' talk. When the trumpet sound loud, every knee gon' drop. Hey, how the gold turned in with a shining. Stones of the temple, they grinding. Sons of Zion, we divine black. Now the world see true, rewinding. Eat them laughing, but the clock ticks slow. They rejoicing now, but they ain't gon' show. Judah still breathing, faith don't fold. Most High coming back, he reclaim gold fruit. Precious sons of Zion, refine that loss.